Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if it's your first time here. My name is Bella and today I'm going to answer a few questions that I came up with myself in order to figure out my planner lineup for next year. And if you're like a little bit lost or not knowing exactly how to choose your planners and notebooks for next year, grab your pens and pencils, notebooks, papers, whatever, and answer them with me. I hope these can help you figure out what you're going to need for next year. So let's get started. All right, let's start. I'm going to insert here on the screen the prompts, the questions that I created, but I'm also going to put them in the box down below, so in case you want to take a look at with like a little bit more time. So I'm going to use my planner for this year just to take some notes, and I have this notepad in here for some extra things. So I'm going to use the back one here in the end. So let me take this off so it's a little easier for me to do this. All right, so for the question number one, we have, what are the areas of your life that you need to plan for? This is important so we know how many notebooks and planners we will need, or if we can put everything in just one book. So for me, I have personal, a yearly part, work, a daily, kind of like a diary, my commonplace, and the travel plan. Okay, so for me, I have these things that I need to plan, and these categories need to fit into one or more notebooks. So personal, I'm going to set some personal goals, maybe things about my health or my social life that has been a little bit neglected. So some things personal. The yearly part, I'm separating it because I'm going to explain why I put it separated from the work or personal. I'm going to explain why I do this. So work, here I have different types of jobs. So I need my work to be like the planner that I have for work, to be able to hold everything that I have for all my jobs. Then the daily as a diary, I think this one is going to be like a separate one. So this is going to be an entire journal for it, only this. The commonplace is also going to be something entirely different, so an entire notebook for this. And the travel plan, I don't know yet, but maybe I can fit them in this part here too. So the personal, the yearly part, the work, and maybe the travel plan, I can fit them into one notebook, and I'll explain a little later why I do this division and explain why in the next questions. Now for question number two, we have, what style of planner and notebooks do you like? And this is important because we're going to identify what our style, what we need, what we like, right? So for me, for example, I really like the Traveler's Notebook style. I say style because it doesn't necessarily have to be the Traveler's Company Traveler's Notebook. It can be something in the style. So the style, I mean the inserts, right? I don't mean necessarily the size. I'm going to talk about this in a bit. I like Bujos, so like blank notebooks, like dotted notebooks. And this also goes for like grid, specifically grid for me this year, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about this. Pocket notebooks I really like. I like them too. And something that is important here for you to identify is like how many planners and notebooks you're going to use, so we can define how many of these or these styles of these that we're going to need. So as I mentioned, I will probably have these three and this one in one notebook. Then for the daily, or like my diary, a second one, and for the commonplace, a third one. So I will probably have 3 notebooks and planners for my lineup for next year. I'm going to also later talk a little bit more about what I'm going to have as like subcategories of each of these ones, because I'm going to have like a reading tracker, financial tracker, and everything. So I'm going to put these into these parts right here. So for example, for my daily diary, I think a pocket notebook as I'm using this year is not going to be very good because it's very small. I started a pocket notebook in like by the end of August, so maybe I can use it for the rest of the year, but for an entire year, if I want to start this by the beginning of January, I think pocket notebooks for daily journaling or a diary are not a very good option. So I feel like for my daily, I'm going to use a book like this, like a dotted notebook or a grid notebook. So probably for my daily, I think I would prefer something like an A5 notebook. I could go for like a Hobonichi Cousin too, that's an option, but for me, for example, the Hobonichi is very, very expensive to buy here in Brazil, so I'm not gonna use it. I'm curious to use it one day, but it's not gonna be for next year, so an A5 notebook that is going to be dotted or grid for me, that's basically going to be for my daily. But for you, if you have the same idea and if you like this idea of a separate notebook for daily, and if you can have access to a Hobonichi Cousin, maybe that's a good choice for you. Now, for the commonplace, I think for my commonplace, pocket notebooks are very nice. So I'm going to put commonplace book. I'm not CPB, I'm not sure if that's a thing, but commonplace book. I think for this, I can have a pocket notebook. So that will make sense. Now, for the other book that I have, that I'm going to put all of these here, I want something as a traveler's notebook style. I don't think a Bujo will be interesting, and that's where I'm going to explain this part here now. I'm separating the yearly because what I think is when I have something as a traveler's notebook style, meaning the inserts, I can have an insert for yearly and then different inserts for like when I plan things for like the year, I can have quarterly inserts for every 3 months, and then a personal insert, and then a travel plan insert, and so on. So if I do this, I don't have to migrate every yearly task collection and everything that I have into a new notebook, because one notebook, one Bujo is not going to be enough for 1 year. So that's why I feel like going with the traveler's notebook style is going to make a lot more sense to me. So I'm going to call it my planner. Like all of these things together, they will be my planner. So I think I'm going to use inserts because these are going to make more sense to me, as I already said, right? So here is like me defining the notebooks that I like. So that's question number 2. Question number 3 is going to be, will you need more than one notebook for your year? In my case is yes. I think that if you don't want to have more than one notebook to be carrying around, you can have everything in just one place, maybe by using a Bujo, and once you finish this one, you migrate some important tasks or important lists and collections to a new notebook, so you can like carry around only one notebook. Maybe also there are some notebooks, I don't remember the name exactly, but I'm going to put it here on the screen somewhere. There is a planner / daily journal planner that you can have both in one place. Maybe that's a good option for you too. But if you don't mind having more than one book, as I don't mind, then yeah, the answer for number 3 is yes. Now for number 4 that we have, are there any planners / notebooks that you're willing to buy just because everyone else has them? Will they serve you any purpose? And now I'm asking this because for me personally, I feel like I'm very aware of this situation for myself, but sometimes we see a lot of people online and we see people using like some sort of materials and planners, and sometimes we feel like if we don't have those materials, those planners, those notebooks, we're not going to be productive enough, or if our Bujos don't look as good as other people's Bujos, we're not going to be as productive. So this is more like a self-awareness and maybe self-conscious question to ask yourself, because as I said, for me the Hobonichi weeks, for example, I'm not sure it will be the best choice, so I wouldn't buy it, even if I had easy access to it. The Hobonichi Cousin, though, maybe I would, but as it is very expensive, I'm not going to invest that much money just because it is a Hobonichi and everyone else has them, you know? So for me, the answer would be this. Like, Hobonichis are notebooks, planners that everyone has. They are like very famous, but they're not a good option for me because of the price. Unfortunately, they are very expensive here in Brazil. So, although they would serve me well in this case, at least the Cousin, the Hobonichi Cousin, I'm not going to buy it because it's too expensive for me. So that is a question that I feel like you would ask yourself to, like, try to see if you're really focusing on being productive and planning, or just focusing on buying something that everyone else has. So for me, like, the question number 4, I mean, I think I have already answered here for you, but I'm going to just write okay because, like, I have already answered. So for question number 5, now these last questions are very important to me, and I feel like they will be very helpful to, like, clear your mind if you are, like, still in doubt, or like don't know what exactly what you're going to do. These are very good questions. So for question number 5 is, what are your deal breakers? So in here, I am going to write everything that I would hate to have in a planner or a notebook. So for example, for me, a deal breaker is a vertical weekly. I don't know why. I really don't know why, guys. I just, a vertical weekly is just like, I can't. I need a horizontal one. So if I'm going to buy inserts that are like pre-planned and they are vertical weeklies, I'm not gonna buy them. I'm gonna have to find something else. And I think the only deal breaker for me so far is this, or also like lined notebooks. I don't really want lined notebooks exactly as this one right here. I don't want lined notebooks for next year, so that's why I put grid right here. My first option would be grid, even before the dotted one, so the grid will be my first choice, but lined ones, I really don't want them. So in here you could put, like, if your notebook doesn't have a back pocket and you really need a back pocket, then this can be a deal breaker for you. It is not for me, but can be for you. Or if you don't have like the bookmarks as we usually have in Bujos, and if you need them, this can be a deal breaker, right? So I feel like I am very practical and very simple here. I only have these 2 deal breakers. Oh, and also not customizable. I feel like this is going to be a deal breaker for everyone, basically. But what I mean by not customizable, I'm talking about languages, because I'm Brazilian, so I speak Portuguese. I like to plan myself in English and do everything in English, and I also speak Spanish. So if I have a very confusing system, I will get lost. So for example, I showed you this in the last video, but I have this insert that is a planner from this Brazilian brand, which I really like. They have already like done everything for you, but they don't number it, so it's like an undated planner. But it is in Portuguese, so when I read it, I automatically write in Portuguese, but then out of nowhere I'm writing something in English, then everything gets mixed up and my brain just gets like completely lost. So I need to be able to customize it, so I need to be able to have like inserts in Spanish for the Spanish things that I need, and inserts for English, and so on and so forth. So the not customizable for me means languages. For you, it could mean something else. Now for number 6, we have the non-negotiables. This is also very important because if you don't have something that is non-negotiable for you in this planner or notebook that you're trying to buy, then you know that you're not going to buy them. So for me, I need them to be grid, as I mentioned. So what I'm going to do is try to buy everything grid, and if I have to make my own notebooks, I'm going to make them grid. If I have to make my own inserts, I'm going to make them grid. Because I don't know why, I just want it. I've been loving how the way the grid looks, even more than the dotted pages. I don't know why, maybe it's just a preference for now. Maybe I'll change it in a few months, but right now a non-negotiable is a grid. Another non-negotiable is a horizontal weekly. I feel like for me, personally, these ones are very similar. So what is not here will be here, and so on. So like vertical weeklies are a deal breaker, so I have horizontal weeklies, that's kind of obvious. But not necessarily your non-negotiables are the opposite of your deal breakers. This is like for me personally, but for you, for example, you can have a notebook that you want, and if it doesn't have the back pocket, that's a deal breaker. But if it doesn't have the bookmarks, then that's okay. So not necessarily they are the opposite. So think on that. Try to think hard on the things that really make you feel really make you feel happy and productive and looking forward to opening your planners and notebooks to like actually plan and do your stuff. And what are some things that when you open up your planners you feel like I don't like this or that. So maybe this can help you feel a little better about your planners and your planning system. Hi, John is coming to say hi to you guys. Oui. So I think for me, I have already defined that I'm going to have, let me highlight this in here for you. I'm going to zoom you in as well, but have an A5 notebook for like my daily planners, a pocket notebook for common placing, and then inserts for my planner. So inserts, for example, this one is an insert type of planner, right? And this is from Acraft, a Brazilian brand that I really like so much, I really do. But this is very small. So maybe not the mini one, but maybe the standard size of the Acraft planner would be a nice thing, but I already searched for it and I know that the undated planners for the standard size, they have vertical weeklies. So I'm not gonna buy their undated inserts. Maybe I'll buy just the grid blank ones, or I'll make them myself because that's something that I really like to do. I like to do book bindings and everything, so maybe I'll do it myself. But I think we've reached a like final decision here. Let me know in the comments down below if you would like me to explain a little bit more in depth about these categories that I'm showing here, how I divide my work inserts, how I plan my work as I work with different things. I have different jobs. It's kind of hard to stay on track, so I managed to do this. So maybe I can show you how I do it if you're interested. Let me know. All of these, I haven't decided if I'm going to make them myself or if I'm going to buy them, but stay tuned. Maybe for the next couple of videos I'll bring them. I am going to bring my 2025 planner lineup to show you and to like plan myself with you guys here too, and then you'll see if I'm going to buy them or make them myself. But I think that's it. I really do hope that these questions helped you to find out what kinds of notebooks and planners are going to work best for you. Let me know in the comments down below too, please, if you have any other suggestions of prompts or questions to answer. If you have any other ideas that can help other people, or maybe help me if there's anything that I haven't mentioned in here yet. And I think that's it. Thank you guys so much. I hope it helped you. Thank you for hanging out with me, and I see you on my next one. Bye.